From first hunts to lifelong traditions, we're here to honor the heritage, hear the passion, and connect through the stories that make us all hunters. Grab your gear, find your stand, and listen in as we share another journey that shapes a hunter's legacy. This episode is brought to you by Logic Hunt, an app designed for the future of hunting, helping you prepare with purpose and pursue with precision. We're recording, man.
Cool.
We got another Iowa native. We're not stretching very far. We're not getting our goal to 50 states.
Yeah, right. How
Where's
far
that?
have you made it so far?
Oh, fudge, man. I think we got, I don't know. Did you see that post I put on Facebook requesting for guest?
Yeah, a little while ago, yeah.
So I had one episode in the bank. So I threw that out, Hail Mary, and 50 people reached out, and I have 18 of them scheduled.
Oh, geez. So busy as hell then.
And I think once we get recorded, we'll have 18 or 20 states recorded. It's going to take a couple of years.
Cool, cool.
At least
Nice.
I got you squeezed in here after my car broke down last week.
What ended up being the deal with that?
So this thing's been the biggest piece of crap since I bought it. So I bought it a year ago and it's been towed 3 times. Last winter on the coldest day of the year, there's back pressure in the engine, so it blew out the rear main seal.
Oh,
Then
Jesus.
a couple months ago, I got stalled out on a busy street in Ames and it ended up being the battery. I didn't know if it was the battery or the alternator, so I took the alternator out, took the battery out, got them tested. They're like, alternator's good, battery's bad. So last Tuesday, it died, and I got the little battery symbol. I'm like, oh crap. Got it towed home, replaced the alternator. 2 days later, the starter went out at the gym. I'm like, I'm not paying to get this damn thing towed again. Paid an Uber out of pocket. So he gave me the initial ride home. Then I just said, I'll give you $50 over Venmo. Let's go get some tools. Let's go get a part. Take me back to the gym. And I just cranked that baby up in the gym parking lot and replaced the starter. We're good to go now.
Typical Midwest guy.
Starting this company, I'm driving around a piece of crap. So
Yeah, you gotta make some sacrifices.
2013 Equinox, baby. So we got Clint from Iowa. Clint, fill us in, man. Give us a little info about yourself.
Just a plain old regular Iowa dude. Got started hunting when I was pretty young. Dad was big into hunting, mainly bow hunting, and he pretty much drug me along when I was sometimes probably too young to be even drug along, but I got drug along on every one of his adventures out to the woods. So that's how I got into it as early as I did. Yeah, now I'm just hooked on it. Bad addiction now.
Oh, yeah. You're not a duck hunter, are you?
Back in like my high school, college days, I got into duck hunting. I wanted to. And then I realized that where we live isn't by any means a hot spot for duck hunting and goose hunting. So I gave up on that dream.
Your addiction's not too bad if you're not a duck hunter. I see the money those guys spend and
Oh my God. I can definitely see that. I spent a pile of money on that stuff on blinds and decoys and all kinds of stuff. And then after I got out of it, I realized how much money I had sitting around in decoys and stuff. I was like, wow, I should probably get rid of some of this stuff while it's still worth something.
did you have a full trailer?
No, I didn't have a trailer. I just had like the shoulder carry bags full of decoys and stuff, and mainly duck hunting stuff, but quite a bit of goose hunting stuff too. But yeah, it was like me and I don't know, a couple buddies that were getting into it. And actually, I built a pretty big duck hunting, like a permanent duck hunting blind down on the river. A guy that owns some land down there. It's like a big swampy marsh thing that is pretty useless for anything. A guy let me build like a big Duck Dynasty type blind down there. He had it all covered, brushed in and everything. And that was pretty sweet. The few times that we actually used it,
One of those things where you put a bunch of time and money into it and never used it.
yeah, it was a good time. Like we got a bunch of buddies in there and went out. We shot some ducks out of it, but then we realized after the local ducks take off for the year, the migrating ducks are few and far between for our little tiny river.
Yep, I
So
hear you.
you could sit a long time and not see a duck come over.
I'm glad that's one thing I never got into. I'm sure I'd enjoy the hell out of it, but man, bow hunting's expensive enough the way it is.
Oh my God. Yeah, and it gets more expensive every time they come out with some new thing that you got to have.
You know, we'll cover that in a little bit, but I want to hear a little bit about you on the personal level. So
Sure.
What you do for work, family, wife, kids. I know all
Okay.
this stuff, but
Yeah, I'm married. I got 3 kids. I work on wind turbines for a living. That's what I've been doing that ever since college. Well, I know at this point, but I do other stuff on the side. I work on some cars on the side, and I don't know, fix about anything and everything that needs fixed around here.
what kind of vehicles do you like to work on? Classic cars?
So I don't get to work on the vehicles that I want to work on. Usually, I'm working on my own vehicles because, like you, I drive old pieces of junk too because they're cheap, and I buy them because they're cheap and hopefully reliable. And almost every time they turned out to not be reliable. Pretty good at working on stuff like that. But I've got an old Dodge truck that I've been meaning to get to that's in a million pieces out in the shop. It's a 38 Dodge pickup truck that I want to do something with someday. Just a pile of rust and pieces for now. The other day at the fair, it was my daily driver for a long time until it got unreliable to where I didn't feel too good about hauling kids around in the winter with it, but it's a jacked up Geo Tracker with big tires and stuff on it. And I finally decided it had pissed me off enough that I was going to take it to the tough trucks and put it to rest. And I worked on that for a couple nights. And then I found out that there was no lift kits allowed for the tough trucks because they saw it was gonna be some great advantage to me or something. I'd be lucky if it runs the whole time, but it'd have been fun. So I never
They
got
wouldn't
to
let
do
you
that.
really?
Yeah, they said right in the rules. Of course, I didn't read the rules until I had worked on it for quite a while and get her all tuned up. And yeah, it said no lift kits allowed, which it's not like it's a performance lift kit by any means like that, but it's just jacked up so I can put big tires on it. And yeah, they wouldn't allow it. So had to go watch just instead.
Pricks.
Yeah.
So I had a '67 Camaro at one time. I got rid of it. It's probably one of the best things I ever did getting rid of it.
Probably cheaper, way cheap.
Well, I liked having it, but every time you drive it, something would go wrong. They
Yeah,
say those classic cars don't have a lot of wires in it. They got plenty of wires, so
yeah, my dad's big into old cars. He's got some old Mopars and stuff, so I'm addicted to that too on the side. Just don't have enough time or money to work on my own stuff, chasing kids and doing family stuff all the time, basically.
what's he have for classic cars, you said?
He's got a '69 Dart, and he's had that for ever since I was real young, ever since I can remember. And then for some reason, he got stuck in his head that he wanted the ugliest truck ever made. It's a '70 Dodge A100 pickup. It's like a cab over pickup. They're so weird looking. It's like
Uh,
the ugliest thing
it's
I've
what?
seen. It's an A100 pickup. It's like a cab over half-ton truck. It's like a flat nose pickup truck.
I gotta look oh, it's something you'd see, like, on Scooby Doo or something.
Yeah, yeah, it's not the van, but yeah, he's got that thing hot rodded out and got a built motor in it. So that's his new baby, his Dart. He built that thing up to be too nice to even do anything with. Basically, he's scared to drive it. It's so nice. So this is his like play toy now. So
You're gonna have to get that Dodge pickup up and running.
yeah, I know. I want my goal someday. I want to put a new Gen 3 Hemi engine out of like a new Dodge truck or a Charger or Challenger or something like that. I want to put something like that in it. Leave it all old and rusty looking, but make it kinda a sleeper.
Hellcat. Just jump up to
Yeah.
a Hellcat.
Yeah, I've been looking into it. They're actually in terms of cost-wise, it might be actually cheaper to buy a Hellcat engine out of a Challenger or something like that than building up a smaller Hemi into something that can really make some power.
How much horsepower are you looking for?
I don't know, like somewhere 600, 700-ish, something like that.
That's quite a bit, man.
Yeah, it is, but in this day and age, like Hellcats come with 700 horsepower from the factory, so that's not even nothing super crazy anymore.
500 horsepower in an old car is nothing like 500 horsepower in a new car. Not even
That
close.
Yeah, I can imagine, especially something without power steering or power brakes or nothing.
That '67 Camaro had a 383 stroker, and to the flywheel, I think it was 485.
Oh, geez.
Man,
That'd be fun.
it was fun, but something with 300 horsepower, newer technology would just smoke it. It had a 4-speed in it, and I think it all comes down to the transmission. The newer
Yeah.
transmissions are just so smooth.
Yeah, and they shift so fast and smooth.
It was a lot of
Yeah,
fun. You don't realize how small those old classic cars are until you get one, and if you hit the gas a little too hard, the rear end would come around on you pretty fast, but
I would imagine, even for a big, heavy car. They just don't have the suspension and weren't really built to handle that kind of power, I guess.
if I were to do it again, and if I ever had a bunch of money to build something new, I would have just the old body, old frame, everything else would be up to date, new interior, new electronics, new motor, like
Yeah.
you're thinking with that Hemi.
Yeah, my truck that I'm working on, it would pretty much all need to be built from the ground up because the only thing left of it is the cab and the hood and the box, basically, and I don't even know if the frame's usable. I might end up just putting it on some other kind of frame or something.
Be nice if stuff was still the same size where you could basically just take the body off a classic car, take the body off a new car, and just take the old style body and just throw it on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and like you said, the size of them too, like that truck, it's a from the '30s, and people must have been tiny back then because, like, me and my younger brother, that's about the same size as me, just average sized dudes. We sat in it together one time just to get an idea of how big it was, and we both had our shoulders touching and our other shoulder touching the cab wall, basically. They're small.
His Dart probably doesn't have a lot of room in it, does it?
Surprisingly, it's pretty comfy, yeah. It's a pretty big car, it's a two-door car, but they made seats and stuff pretty big back then.
Not something you don't wanna throw car seats in the back of.
No, no, you gotta fold the seats forward to get to the back seats.
Oh, I could talk about old cars all day, but that's not what the listeners are here for. So
Yeah, sure.
you said your dad's a hunter,
Yep,
and that's probably how you got into hunting?
yep, yeah. He got me started. I was going out to the tree stand with him before I could even hunt, basically, because I couldn't pull enough poundage to shoot anything or shoot a deer. He told me I had to be able to pull 35 pounds before he'd let me take my bow out. And so I was pretty young. I was probably like my son's age. My son's 4. I was maybe a little bit older than him, but I remember going with him for a long time out to the woods. And for quite a while, he'd put me in a stand like 100 yards away from him so he could see me and keep track of what I was doing and keep an eye on me. And then eventually he got to where when we'd go out in the morning, he'd drop me off at a stand and he'd wait there and wait for me to climb up and get strapped in and everything. And then he'd keep walking maybe to the other side of the woods to probably his hot spot or whatever,
Oh, he put you in
where
the best spot.
yeah, I was basically like his trail camera for the day. And then he'd come back and say, "Oh, did you see anything? Oh, yeah, I saw this and this and this." Oh, okay, cool. So, yeah, basically the earliest trail cam. Your kid.
This was when you were starting to bow hunt or just when you guys were to go out together?
This was probably just when I was real little, before I even bow hunted, and I was just going just because he didn't think I could pull enough pounds. And then eventually I got to the point where he thought I'd crank my bow up enough where I could get it pulled back and he thought I'd be able to kill something with it. I think I shot my first deer with a bow when I was 9. I still remember that. That's one of my key memories from being a little kid in the woods because I still remember exactly the woods it was at. I could probably walk back to the same tree. He had me in a stand. I'm pretty sure I remember he was like standing on a branch beside me so he could be right beside me the whole time. And then I ended up shooting a little button buck that we thought was a doe. Yeah, actually, surprisingly enough, made a really good shot on it as a little kid and basically got down and went and tracked it. And it didn't go that far, probably went 75 yards or something. And that was just like the coolest thing ever as a little kid. You're like, Yes, I finally did it. I'm one of the gang now. I'm one of the grown-ups and big guys now.
I guarantee you, you're the youngest one to shoot a deer with a bow that's been on the podcast so far.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Huh.
9 years old? That's young, dude.
Yeah, and then I guess at the same time when we were deer hunting, he'd take me out turkey hunting and stuff too. I went with him for a lot of years before I could shoot anything of my own, just to tag along and see how it's done and sit in a chair and probably sleep most of the time. So my dad's big into going up north bear hunting. And so for a lot of years too, he would go up north to, like, northern Minnesota bear hunting, and I would just go with him, and he'd put 2 stands up beside each other. A lot of the time, I was a cameraman for him, so I was like the little kid, but I had the great big giant camera, and that was my job to videotape everything. So I got pretty good at videotaping even as a little kid. We'd go up north bear hunting, and it was like the old school big VHS tapes basically that you put in a camera, and then he had a homemade swing around camera holder that would screw into the tree. I remember a lot of times where there'd be bears coming in and I'd be sitting there trying to get the right angle on him. And I never videotaped him shooting anything, but I remember a lot of times of just me with the camera watching him and just going out and videotaping stuff with him.
You guys still go up there to bear hunt?
He does. So he got to be pretty good buddies with the guy that was doing the guiding, and the guide, I don't really remember how he got a hold of this guy, but the guide is basically just a farmer up there that had access to quite a bit of ground. He had some bird dogs and stuff, and he did some guided bird hunt type of things where he had at one time he had a homemade lodge thing that guys would come out and they had the gun club. The local gun club was at his house where guys would come out and shoot and they'd have bird hunts. But my dad got to be buddies with this guy, and the guy basically eventually got to the point where he wasn't really getting into the bear hunting anymore, and it was just getting to be too much work for him when he was trying to farm. And then he's an older guy, and it was just getting to be too much work for the guy to run baits and start baits and run people around to different stands and stuff like that. And so my dad made a deal with him. He said, "How about," and my dad's retired now, so he's got all the time in the world. So he made the deal with him basically. He says, "How about I'll come up here and I'll run all the baits for you and do basically all the work, and I'll basically guide for you, and you let me come up here and hunt for nothing, basically." I guess you'd call him a bear guide now.
Really?
That's his vacation every year. He goes up there about 2 weeks before season starts and starts all the baits and runs around on the four-wheeler and checks all the baits and checks cameras and decides which baits are the hot ones to have guys on for the day, and then he kinda lines up guys to go up there too. A lot of the guys that go up there hunting now are pretty local guys. He'll take 5, 6 guys every year and go up there and hunt for a week or 2 or however long it takes a guy to get a bear. Last year was a really good year. I think it was because it was so dry up there, there wasn't any acorns on the ground, so, like, the bears were hitting the baits really hard. So I think they had 5 guys up there, and everybody had a bear in the first 2 nights. I think the first night they had 3 bears, and the second night they got 2 more bears, which is, like, unheard of for up there because a lot of the times it's 1 or 2 guys might get one in the first week or so, and a lot, probably half the guys would go home empty-handed just because it's really dependent on the year if the acorns are hitting the ground or not, or berries or whatnot that the bears are eating, that they don't have to come to the bait so hard.
Where's this at again?
The town that he guides by is Clearbrook, Minnesota. It's quite a ways up there. It's probably, I think it's about 8 hours from our place here.
And how long does he spend up there? Until everybody gets their bear or what?
Pretty much. He usually goes up like 2 weeks before season and starts all the baits, and then he usually stays up there for like a week or 2 into season, or basically until everybody either gets a bear or quits or kinda gives up, runs out of time, vacation time or whatever.
Why doesn't he
But
take you up?
I used to, yeah. I've shot 3 bears up there actually. I think I started going up there with him when I was pretty young. I was probably in middle school. and it always pissed my mom off because the bear opener was, like, the 2nd week after school started, so I would go to school for a few days, and then I'd take a whole week off of school after it just started and go up bear hunting for a week, and my mom hated it, but my dad didn't really care. He thought it was the greatest thing in the world to take me up there. But, yeah, I shot 3 of them up there over the years, and none of them were giants by any means, but up there I think I heard the average bear shot in Minnesota is like 175 pounds or something like that. They're not the big giant brown bears that they have out west or like grizzlies or something, but there is big ones that get shot every year, but they're pretty few and far between. It seems like every year there's like a 4, 5, 600 pounder that gets shot somewhere. It's usually like they get that way from eating out of the town dump or something like that. They're like the local legend bear that gets gigantic and then eventually gets shot by somebody. But
What's the
yeah, that
biggest one your dad's ever killed?
probably 350-ish. Anything over 250, 300 is pretty big for up there. I think, yeah, probably the biggest one that any of them up there have ever shot in his group anyways is probably like 350-ish, something like that.
Does he get them all tanned?
Most of them, yeah. I think so. I tanned one as a 4-H project in like middle school. I tanned one myself, and it was a cool trial thing to do. I got like the do it yourself self tanning kit for at home, and it didn't turn out nearly as nice as like when you send it off to a tannery to get tanned. It works, it's tanned, but it's not as soft and it turns the leather basically to like dried out cardboard. Now I've got them hung up, and if you move them at all, the leather breaks and tears and stuff like that. So it's not nearly as good as sending them off to a tannery, but it was a cool thing to do as a little kid to say you did that on your own.
Did you
But
have
yeah,
to scrape everything off and all that stuff?
yeah, I was never any good at that. So we went to the local trapping expert and convinced him to help us out with it and help us scrape it. As a little kid, I would have never been able to do that. It looked like so much work as a young kid.
I'm sure you'd have to do it just right to avoid
Yeah,
breaking off the skin.
I would have screwed it up as a little kid. I had so many holes in it, I'm sure. So it was much better that that guy helped us out with it.
Is that when you decided you didn't wanna be a taxidermist for a living?
Yeah, probably. I probably eventually got better at it in high school when I got bigger into trapping and stuff like that, where I was never an expert at it by any means, but I was okay enough at it to do a few things.
Oh, you did a lot of trapping in high school and did all the tanning?
I did a lot of trapping, but most of it I would just sell it. I'd skin it and sell it that way. I didn't put anything up myself just because it took so much time and I didn't have the ambition to do all that.
How many traps were you running?
Not a ton, probably, I don't know, 50, 75 ish, something like that. Yeah, nothing crazy, but I remember when I got out of college, I ran a trap line just from my house in town here to over by Riceville where I worked over there, zigzag my way over there in the morning and check traps and then maybe hit a few on the way back home.
And you were running 50 or so?
Yeah, probably something like that.
Was there money in trapping back then?
Yeah, actually, like it was enough to put some gas in your car, basically. If you're good at it, you probably could have done okay at it. If I caught 5 coons a day, I was pretty happy, or a couple mink or a few muskrats or something.
That's a
But
lot of trap checking for 5 raccoons.
yeah, there was a lot of empty traps and disappointment, but I was by no means any expert at it.
There's guys that are pretty damn good at it.
And these days, nobody does it anymore. I
No
mean, it's
money
just
in it.
not even close to pay for gas in your car anymore. Somebody just told me the other day that the new thing that's going to be hopefully worth a little bit this year is skunk glands, like the stink glands out of skunks. I
Really?
don't know if there's any truth to it, but that's what somebody was saying.
There's so many damn raccoons out there, man. I don't know if you've
Oh
done
my
thermal
god.
hunting, but so many you scan a tree line, it's just solid raccoons.
I started putting out trail cameras a couple weeks ago and oh, it pisses me off. Like I get 10 raccoon pictures for every deer picture I get. And then half the time, if you get a coon picture, eventually they climb the tree and mess up your camera. I got one camera right now that I got to go out and fix because it's pointed at the ground, and all I get is coon pictures.
I set up my
Yeah.
first trail camera this weekend. I don't it's a tact cam. I don't know if I did something wrong, but for the past 2 days, it's been saying pending camera check-in. I'm like, "You son of a bitch."
Huh.
I'm two
That's
and a half
weird.
hours away.
Oh, geez. At least mine are only like 5 minutes away.
How many are you running?
Just four now. I just put out two more this weekend. Just trying to get some scrapes going again, and I put out a couple, like, licking branches with scrapes under them, trying to get them started. They don't seem like they're hitting too hard right now, and they're not in places where deer are probably hanging out a ton right now, but I'm hoping that they'll get started more for when the rut kinda gets closer or
Yeah,
when
that
they.
way you're not moving stuff all around.
Yeah, like, right now, I know the deer are hitting hay fields a lot and kinda starting to hit bean fields pretty good. I've got one on a bean field, but it doesn't seem like that one's even hitting too hard yet, and then some are just, like, woods edges and stuff like that
What do
with
you run for cameras?
Tacticams.
They're pretty good.
Yeah, I like them. I don't really have any complaints with them. I've had Spy Point. Yeah, I had some Spy Points, and they pissed me off because every time I'd walk, like, all the way across a section with a camera that I had a spot that I was gonna put it in, and I'd walk way out in the middle of the section and get this perfect spot and put it on a scrape or something like that, or like a really nice intersection in a trail or something, and then I'd get my camera set up, and it would say it didn't have any service or it didn't have any signal. They'd blink, like, red or something, and eventually it's supposed to turn to green when it gets signal, and it would sit there and blink. It's so frustrating. I could sit out there for 15 minutes staring at this thing, waiting for it to turn green, and it just never would, so pretty much gave up on them. And I could take a Tacticam and hang it on the same tree and get perfect signal anywhere.
When was this?
Probably a couple years ago. I think they were Spy Point Micros,
Oh, those
I
things were
remember it.
junk, dude.
Yeah.
That was my
I
first
don't
ever
even know why I
cell
ended
cam.
up getting them. Yeah, I think I bought them because they were, like, small, and I thought they'd be handy to be so little, you could throw them in your pocket or something, but,
And they're kinda one of the first cell cameras too.
yeah, they probably were, really.
They're kinda ahead of the game because all the people I know, that's kinda what they started off with.
And finally, I just gave up on them because they all shit out, and I was so pissed off at trying to make them work all the time.
The new spy points I hear are pretty good.
Yeah,
Everybody who
the
runs them loves them.
Flex, I've got one of them. I bought it late last fall, and I haven't put it out yet. The only thing I bought it with plans to test it out and see how it works. The first thing I noticed on it that I didn't like about it was that the battery compartment is on the bottom of it, and, like, it swings open from the bottom, and so, usually what I use is like a screw in, not a tree step, but screws into the tree, and then it's got a swivel on it where you can point it and tighten it down. And those Spy Point Flexes, they don't have a mounting point on the bottom of it because the battery compartment opens on the bottom. They only have one on the very back of it. So I haven't figured out a way to mount that thing yet, other than the strap that it comes with.
The Tacticams, the battery comes out the bottom, but it doesn't take up the whole platform.
Yeah, and the Tacticams, you still have to unscrew them off of the screw-in tree mounting deal, but at least they do have the quarter 20 hole or whatever it is in the bottom there.
Do you run solars with yours or not?
I don't know. I've been thinking about it. It'd probably save me a hell of a lot of batteries, but
How
I
many
just run them.
times you have to swap batteries a year on Tacticam?
Oh my god, I figured I'd probably spend $100 a year on AA batteries
For
running.
all of them?
Yeah, and I run them on just so it sends once a day. just to save that saves so much battery. Like, it's so fun to keep it on instant where it sends them instantly, and it just makes your day less boring where you get to look at a picture not knowing what it's gonna be, but it burns the battery so fast when they're set like that. So I gotta control myself and keep them set on once a day just to save myself some batteries.
I run their lithium with a solar panel, and you can run those things year round.
Really.
Oh,
God,
yeah.
I should start investing in some of them. It'd probably save me money in the long run.
Especially some of your harder to get places. You have
Yeah.
limitations of how you face stuff and all that stuff. You can't put
Yeah,
it on the north side of a timber, but I like it.
yeah. I've seen it wasn't a Tacticam, but I saw a camera on some public ground around here that had a 20-foot extension, and the guy had a solar panel, and it was like 20 feet up the tree just to get it out of the shade. I
Really?
couldn't believe it. Yeah, I don't even know what kind of camera it was, but I was pretty impressed that he probably had sticks or something. He climbed way the hell up this tree to put a solar panel up there just to power his camera. I don't know, maybe the guy lived 2 hours away or something.
I have trouble keeping squirrels from chewing up my cords.
Oh, really?
Most of the companies will sell braided ones that are indestructible, and they work a lot
Oh,
better.
yeah.
But the timber I hunt is solid oaks, and there's squirrels everywhere, man.
Oh, yeah, I bet. Dude, squirrels wreck everything. Tree stands, seats, and anything imaginable.
Oh, they'll
Any
go through a corn food plot pretty fast.
Yeah, yeah, I bet.
They
Yeah, the
take the whole damn ear up and then pull the kernels off and just chew the little tip of the kernel, and the rest goes to waste.
jeez. I've seen them chew the plastic off of the rubber off the rubber coated cables on tree stands before.
Really?
Like, yeah, like, why? You're not eating it, it's rubber. Why the hell chew it off?
Oh, you can't leave a tree stand seat out there, they'll chew that fast.
No, for sure. Yeah, you gotta take them with you for sure, otherwise they'll have it destroyed in days.
Are a lot of your tree stands kinda permanent locations?
So, I don't do a whole lot of tree stand hunting with, like, permanent stands. I got into saddle hunting a few years ago, and I've been running with that for a while. My
Everybody raves
dad's
around it, man.
a few years ago, I shot a pretty big buck, and the basically I was moving my stand, like, every day, trying to figure out where this buck was coming from, and I kept getting pictures of it in a hayfield, but I could not figure out where he was bedding and where he was coming from every day, and so every afternoon, I'd sit a spot, and I wouldn't see him, so then pull my 20-pound stand down and move it few hundred yards away or to the other side of a field or something and take it with me and put it up in the dark and then sit that the next morning and wouldn't see him there. So then I'd get in my head like, oh, he's got to be over in this waterway or something. So I'd get down in the morning and after that sit, move it across to a waterway or something, quarter mile away. I just got to the point where I was like, man, somebody should invent a better way to move a tree stand around every day. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute, idiot. They already have that. I should probably give that a try. Yeah. It was like after that year, I bought a saddle and a platform and kind of got into that. And man, it's addicting. It's pretty fun. Half the time when I go out or after work or on an afternoon or something, I'll be like, "Oh, I really have no idea where." I have an idea of the area that I wanna go, but I'm not really sure exactly where I wanna go, and I'll just walk and sneak my way in and find what I think is a good spot.
What do you
I
have
don't
for
know.
setup?
It's a Cruiser XC saddle. It's a single panel saddle, and that's the only one that I've ever tried.
What's
Uh,
single panel mean?
so it's just basically, it's one piece for your cheeks to sit in, and so they make a double panel, which is, I think, supposed to be more comfortable because the second panel can slide down under your butt, so you have more to sit on.
Oh, so the 2 panels are connected with a little strap in between.
Yeah, so it's basically 2 single panels and gives you more adjustability, but I've never used one myself, so I don't know exactly how they work. So I've been thinking about giving one of them a try just to try something else, maybe be a little more comfortable.
What do you have for a platform and sticks?
A tethered predator platform, that's the smaller one, I guess. They make an XL too, but I've always just had the predator, the smaller one, and I like having small. I don't see a need why I would need a bigger one because then it seems like you're almost getting to the point of tree stand size anyway. So if I'm gonna bring in a tree stand, I might as well have a seat on it and then be really comfortable. The sticks, I just bought a new set of sticks last fall. I had been using just the cheapest. What the heck were they? Hawk.
Helium.
Yeah, they
I
are.
have those and they're junk.
Yeah, they work. You can get up a tree with them, but they are not anywhere as near as good as some of the nicer stuff out there.
What
But
do you run now?
they're tethered. They're not the super expensive. They're not the one sticks, but the Skeletors, I think they're called. They're more of a budget type as far as tethered goes. They're still not cheap, but they're a lot cheaper than the one sticks. The one sticks are pretty crazy expensive for what they are.
I was
But
talking to the last kid on the episode just released Monday. That's what he's running, the Skeletor.
is it?
And what is it, 250 bucks for 4 of them or something?
Yeah. Actually, I just used them last night for the first time ever. I hung up a licking branch vine out in the woods, and there's like a freeway intersection and a trail, and I wanted to hang a licking branch somewhere close to that intersection, start a mock scrape under it, and the only branch that I could hang it off of was like 20 feet up. So I had to go out and find this long 20, 30-foot vine and then put the sticks up to get up to this branch and then basically hang on for dear life and hang way off to the side of the tree. My wife would have killed me if she would have seen me hanging off
You just
by
want
nothing,
you
basically.
just wanted to use the sticks.
Yeah, I'm glad they work good because that was my first time using them. They seem like they bit a lot better into the bark. Yeah. So for me, for saddle hunting, a lot of the what makes it suck or not is how easy it is to wrap up the straps on the sticks or how easily they pack together or if they're quiet because you're putting them up in the dark, usually in the morning. Like everything's got to fit together decent so you're not clanking and banging around at 4 o'clock in the morning trying to hang up sticks in the dark. And the tethered ones, they've got a pretty nice system where the rope that attaches them to the tree wraps up pretty nicely around them, so they pack down pretty good. Where the hawk, there was no super great system to keep it all together. I was basically holding it together with the rubberized wire and stuff like that.
Mine
That's
stuck together, but you have to carry those cam buckles. Lone Wolf ones look nice.
are they? I haven't really looked into many of them, I guess.
When you pack 4 of them together, they're about this thick.
Oh, them are the super thin ones that
It looks like they just cut it out of sheet metal.
I think I did see them actually. What did they get for a set of them?
500 bucks for 4.
Ooh,
And the thing I don't like about them, they're short, 15 inches step to step, plus
okay.
they're not very far away from the tree.
So the only thing that I did like about the Hawks that I had where they were 3 steps compared to the 2 steps, I only had 3 sticks. So I figured with 3 step sticks, I could get 1 step higher than if I had 2 step sticks. Maybe I'm doing the math wrong there.
But 3-step, I have the longer helium and the shorter ones.
Yeah.
It's just a pain hauling the bigger ones around.
Yeah, yeah, and they were heavy too. I would strap into the back of my backpack, and they would always sag down, and then I would hang my platform off of the back of my saddle. I'd wear my saddle in, and I had a hook on the back of it, like a little 3D printed hook, and then I'd hang my platform off of that, so it's hanging off your butt. Then the sticks were so long that they'd hang down off my backpack, and they'd clank against my platform, so I'd have to walk hunched over so that my sticks wouldn't bang on my platform walking through the woods, and it was not the ideal setup by any means.
That'd piss the guy off. I see
Yeah.
they're making carbon sticks now too. I don't know if I trust that.
Yeah. Some carbon ones. I thought about looking into them mainly just for the sound. Like,
Mhm.
you would think they'd never make any sound if you accidentally clank them together, and
I don't
should be
know.
pretty quiet.
You would think so, but god, I don't know if I trust that.
Yeah, I don't know. Carbon these days is seems like they make that stuff just as strong or better than steel, really. It's all, I don't know, made in a lab, and scientists do stuff that makes it strong.
Have you ever heard of the XOP X2s?
I've heard of XOP, but no, not the X2s.
Everybody who I talk to love the XOP X2s. They're
Really?
$180 for 4 of them.
Oh, that's cheap, really, compared
Yep,
to others.
$200 a stick from Lone Wolf.
Oh, man. Yeah. If you got it up, you should look what the tethered one sticks cost. Them are, I
Oh,
can't remember. Them are probably just as bad or worse
I was just
than the
looking at
lone
them.
wolves.
They are God, I just saw this. They're about the same price. You're probably spending
Are they?
500 bucks for 4 of them or 3 of them.
Ouch.
1 pound per stick.
Yeah, man, that would be sweet. I don't know. I can carry a lot of weight for a few $100.
Oh, you think so, huh?
I'm carrying them all a half a mile at most. I'm not carrying them. I'm not in, like, Pennsylvania walking 10 miles into public stuff.
Have you heard of the brand Arsenal?
It sounds familiar, but
They have platforms, and their newest platform is when it's all packed up, it's only an inch thick and weighs 2 pounds.
oh, jeez. That'd be nice.
Can you imagine?
Yeah,
So if you had,
I'll have to check them out.
like, the tethered one stick or the Lone Wolf, so that's 4 pounds plus 2 pounds for a I don't know if I've ever had a tree stand lighter than 12 pounds,
Yeah, even I don't know what a lone wolf weighs. Them are probably about as light as you can possibly buy these days.
8 or 9
Maybe
pounds, I wanna say.
maybe I'm wrong.
They're
Huh.
light. I picked one up at Deer Classic. I'm like, "Hol is this it?"
Yeah, they're impressive.
So would you
Yeah.
ever go back to hang-ons?
Probably not, like, primarily. So my dad's got a little woods, which is luckily, like, 3 miles from my house. He owns, like, 15 acres that I hunt it, a few times a year, but we've got some permanent stands in there, or hang-ons, I guess, that me and him bounce around in there, and that's where I shot a doe in there last year, but that's pretty much the only place that I use a hang-on stand anymore, is places like that where I can just leave them there all year, and me or my dad can use them, and we both know where they're all at. But
Is
when
a
it's me
lot of
by
your
myself,
stuff permission ground or what?
yeah, mainly. Yeah, pretty much everything's a little bit of public, but mainly it's permission ground, which is pretty much like public around here, I guess. Northern Iowa, it's not premier deer hunting where there's hardly anything's being leased, and pretty much if you can find a farmer that's gonna let you hunt, he's also gonna let 3 or 4 other people hunt there too, because he doesn't really care about the hunting, he's just farming the ground.
Have you ever offered him any money? Like, just
I haven't, no. I've had really good luck. I don't get told no very often, honestly. I've had good luck with just small time farmer guys that they just don't really care about the deer hunting, like, mainly they don't want it to be a pain. They don't want you to argue with somebody else that's hunting in there. Pretty much, if you can get along with whoever else is hunting there, then it's fine. As soon as you cause a problem, then you're probably not gonna get let in there anymore. So, there's really only a few places around that I've tried to get permission that they just don't let anybody hunt in there. It's just them and their family, and that's it. I don't think any amount of money less than 10 grand is gonna get you in there or something.
if they hunt it themselves.
Yeah, and I don't really push the issue too much. If they wanna hunt it themselves and they own it, then good for them. That's their thing.
Do you have a lot of issues with other hunters getting in your way?
Actually, not really, no. Very little. There's only a handful of public places around that are pretty local to me, and none of them are super big. They're all, I don't know, maybe 10, 20, 30 acre pieces. And there's a lot of people that do hunt it. I've went through a couple places early season last fall, and you can pick out half a dozen cameras in 20 acres or something like that. You know, going into it that there's probably other guys hunting it. It's probably not a place that I would bank on hunting sometime in the morning. You might show up and there might be two other trucks there or something, but it might be like a last minute place where if you're running late trying to think of a place to go and go by there and nobody's there yet, I might hit a spot like that for an evening set or something like that.
But you don't have any other hunters showing up when you're hunting private?
One time last year, I had a guy in the morning. I went in and I was saddle hunting and I went in the morning and hung a stand and you had to walk way down the edge of a cornfield, corn and woods line. I walked probably a half mile down off the road and then hung a stand and I was up in the tree already and I was getting set up and it was before daylight. And then I could see a light coming down towards me the same way that I had come in. He was probably a couple 100 yards away yet, and I turned on my headlamp a couple times and I just flashed it at him. He had his headlamp on blaring, like, looking all over the woods, and I just flashed it at him a few times, and I seen it point my way, and then I seen the headlamp turn around, and then I seen it go off, and then I never heard from him the rest of the time,
Do you know who it
and
was?
I figured out who it was. I had an idea of who else was hunting there. And I texted him later that day. I was like, "Hey, were you hunting down here this morning?" He's, "Oh, yeah." And he was super nice. It was a younger guy. He felt bad that he walked in on me because he's, "Yeah, I seen your truck parked down there, but you parked on the other side of the road. So I thought you were on that side. And so that's why I came to this side. And I didn't mean to walk in on you." And it turned out to be fine. Never got into an argument over anything with anybody yet.
Some people probably see you in there and say, "Piss on it, I'm just gonna hunt anyways."
I don't know. Seems like most guys around here that I know, I guess, they're usually pretty good about it. If they drive into a place and there's a truck parked there and they know, okay, this is a river bottom here that's 100 yards wide and there's one good spot to hunt this, then they're probably just going to not hunt it if they see a truck parked there already. Most guys around here aren't going to walk in on you and sit up right next to you and purposely try to just be a dick about it. They just feel like, well, he got here first, whatever. And that's how I am too. If I go to a place and there's a truck parked there already, I just drive 5 miles down the road to the next permission place that I've got.
Yeah, you never know, some people might only have one place to hunt.
And yeah, that's true. Yeah. But I don't know. I think a lot of the guys around here, anyways, are like me, where they get as many permission places as they can and gives them options. If they run into a spot where there's a truck there already, they can jump to the next spot and they might be behind a little bit, but be to the next spot in 20 minutes or something. I don't know what makes them squawk. I don't know if it's
Oh
the
god.
platform or if it's the bark on the tree or what, but like you get the certain angle on the platform and like you put weight on a certain part of the platform and it's like the platform itself is like digging into the tree or the bark and it's like squeaking in the bark, but I don't know if it's any fault of the platforms really. But maybe I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like it's very tree dependent. If you get a tree with a certain sort of bark, seems like they make more noise than the other. So you gotta cam it a few times to try to get the squawk out of it. And then after you get it really locked in there, then that kinda takes that out of it.
My hawk tree stands get that way, they make a lot of noise, so I just put a second cam around it.
Oh, gotcha. Sure. Yeah.
Hawk, I used to think they're the greatest thing when I first got those tree stands. They're
Yeah. That was them hawk steps, they were the first tree steps that I had used because 'cause I'd always use screw-in steps,
oh, F that,
and
dude.
they take forever, and they will take the skin off your hands by the time you get high enough to put a stand up.
So would you leave them in or would you take them down, put them back in?
No, I was taking them out just about every time. So, yeah, trying to bounce around a different tree and take steps out with me. No, actually, the year that I was bouncing around a lot, I borrowed a buddy's pair of sticks, but they were even worse than the hawk sticks. They were like the semi-permanent. They were like 4 or 5 feet long,
The
like the
sportsman guide deal.
exactly. They had, like, 2 sets of straps around them, and they were, like, great for climbing because 'cause the steps on them are just gigantic. They're like climbing a ladder, but to pack those around and try to be jumping around from tree to tree every day, terrible.
Oh, I love climbing up on a permanent stand with those babies.
Oh, for sure. Them were probably pretty slick for a permanent stand, but not to take down and take with you every day and
Well, you could
carry them around too.
buy a 4 pack or 3 pack for $50.
Yeah, right. You can get them at probably Fleet Farm or Harbor Freight or yeah,
Or
like you said,
the dollar store. So are you primarily archery now, or you do some gun hunting?
I pretty much only bow hunt for have been for quite a while. I started out bow hunting with my dad when I was young. He had said that he had gun hunted previous years with a few guys, and he decided that it wasn't for him. And then it took me a few years to decide, hey, this gun hunting seems like it might be all right. And I did it for a couple years with some buddies and soon decided that it wasn't for me either. After having a couple slugs buzz over your head, multiple different groups of guys pushing a same chunk of public and walking into each other, I was just like, this is dumb. I would much rather be sitting by myself up in a tree and doing more hunting than pushing.
Have you ever gone late muzzleloader?
I haven't. No, I've never muzzleloader hunted. I know a couple guys that love it, but
That's where it's at, man. If you're not against gun hunting, but you wanna hunt by yourself, that's where it's at.
really,
Find where they're coming out and feeding, sit on a fence line or something. There's a lot of
yeah,
big bucks left come late muzzleloader.
I've got some family that they're big into that. That's all they do is late muzzleloader hunt. But I've got the archery addiction now to a point where I'd rather go sit out and freeze with a bow than a muzzleloader.
Nobody's stopping you, man.
Yeah, everybody else thinks it's stupid. They're like, if there's a muzzleloader season, why wouldn't you use a muzzleloader? But I don't know. I'm pretty diehard archery now. It's just the challenge of it. I'd rather be able to do it with a bow than anything else, really.
I agree with you, but where I hunt, and it's probably the same way where you hunt, the timbers are so small, it's really hard to sneak up once the snow is on the
Y-
ground.
Yeah, for sure. And then you got to find a place with a food source that they're coming to and to find the perfect setup where you can get in close enough with a bow is it would be tough. I rarely do any late season, like after gun season archery hunting. I have a few times and never killed anything doing it.
Did you see
L-
anything?
There was one year that I had a big buck that I was after and didn't get a chance at him during the regular archery season, and then shotgun season went by, and I wasn't sure if he was still out there. I was trying to stick it out late season with my bow, and I never saw him. It was tough. It was miserable. That's the time of year for sitting in a blind. I was doing it out of a tree stand in January, and it was not much fun.
Did
I
you have
think
good
I
camo?
no, probably as in the camo pattern or
No,
warm.
just warm.
Probably not. That was probably half a dozen years ago, and yeah, not good. I remember I had 2 pairs of sweatpants over the top of each other, and then my Walmart bibs over the top of
Oh
that,
boy.
and just anything you could think of to try to stay warm with multiple pairs of gloves over the top of each other, packed full of hand warmers, and yeah.
What do you wear now?
Let's see. I don't know. I've never been, like, big into the name brand camo and stuff, but I've got nicer stuff now. I'm by no means like the guy that's decked out from head to toe in one certain brand or another, but I don't know. I've find some deals on stuff where I can and got a little bit nicer stuff. Got a couple Sitka things and a couple First Light things, and I don't know, nothing specific like that. I'm only use one brand or another like that. But so
I
I
see
probably look like a mismatched dork out there, but that's all right.
I see Shields was selling the Sitka Stratus jacket for $180.
Ooh, aren't they
Actually,
usually
take 20.
they're pretty spendy?
350.
Ooh, yeah, nice.
Their fanatics were half off too.
Really? Which
Have you
which one's like the super, super warm one? The
so
the
Fanatic.
oh, okay. What's the kiln or something like that? Isn't that one
They
supposed to be super warm?
though that's a base layer. They have an
Oh,
Aerolite
okay.
or something.
Okay.
I have the Fanatic, it's too warm, I can't even wear it.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. So I don't think I've ever worn anything that I thought was too warm because I hear people say, "Oh, yeah, you can't wear it for this type of hunting." And I don't know. I must be a pussy or something because
I
I've
used to be the
never.
same way, but it's if you could walk out without it and put it
Yeah.
on when you get there, it'd be fine. You literally can't even fit the jacket in your backpack, let
Really? It's
alone the
that
bibs.
that puffy?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
I
Okay.
think at least the Aerolite, which is like $650 for the jacket, at least it's I can't remember what Sitka calls it, but it packs really well.
Huh. Nice. I finally got a puffy jacket for taking out west this year. This is
A
my
puffy jacket.
yeah, I don't know, like I guess I wouldn't call them like a whitetail hunting, but I don't know. It's just a super they're not super heavy duty. They're super light and packable, which is why guys take them out west hunting, but they compress down super, super tiny, but they're pretty warm just by the sheer puffiness or loft of it. They're down filled.
I know what you're talking about. Sitka has a bunch of that stuff.
Yeah, last year when I went out there, last couple years, I had a Costco puffy jacket that was I didn't realize till I got out there and I was hunting with some buddies and I was asking them, I was like, have any of you ever guys ever seen a puffy jacket with a zipper on the left side? This seems pretty weird to me. And they're like, oh, that's because it's a women's jacket, you dork.
Really?
So here I'd been wearing a women's extra extra large jacket for a few years and it took me a while, but
What color was it?
it was like a camel-ish color. It was like
Really?
olive green. And it's just like, yeah, I don't know. It works.
Is that why you bought a new jacket?
Yeah, yeah. Actually,
Uh,
my wife bought me one for my birthday. Maybe she thought I looked dumb out there in this women's jacket.
What do you hunt out west?
So I started elk hunting out there with my dad and probably I've probably been going out there for 10-ish years.
Really?
Yeah. And so the very first year I went with my dad, I shot a pretty nice bull. And I've been going every year since then, and I've never killed one since then.
Are you
So
kidding me?
yeah,
Still on public or what?
yeah, yep. It's public ground. Had been going to Colorado most of the time. I went to Montana with a buddy a few years ago, and then we're going back to Montana this year, me and that same buddy. But most of the time we had hunted Colorado over the counter tags. So that's where I cut my teeth on Western hunting.
Does your dad still go?
No, he kind of decided that bear hunting was more his speed these days. He's getting older. Just decided he didn't have the ambition to do it anymore. He did it for a few years with me just to get me started and seeing if it was something that I wanted to do back in like my early 20s. And he went for a few years with me and I fell in love with it. I wanted to move out west for a long time. If I could, I wish I had more vacation to spend out there in the fall, basically, because I just became addicted to it, basically, just to be the scenery and then, I don't know, the adventure of it and the challenge of it, basically.
That's on my wish list, man.
I like it the most because you can't buy success out there. You can buy a guided trip and you can buy your success that way, but on public ground out there, you can't buy yourself success. You could put an average Joe from the Midwest and you've got just as good a chance to shoot a monster bull as the millionaire, big rich guy that shows up out there. Actually, probably a better chance because a lot of the guys like me put more work into it. The older guys that have all the money, they don't want to put the big time work into just getting in shape and don't want to pack in that far. And they'd rather do the guided hunts and stuff like that. And that's to each his own, but I like the challenge of it.
Was that bull you got your first year a pretty nice one?
Yeah, compared to other like, pictures and stuff of stuff on YouTube and whatever, but it barely broke Boone and Crockett, I think. I think Boone and Crockett for an elk in Colorado, don't quote me, but I think it's 260, and it scored, like, 261 or something like that, but it's I don't know, it was definitely a trophy to me, just knowing how much work we put into it to pack in and find them and then pack it all out on your back, but,
Have
yeah,
you ever
it's
killed a booner whitetail
what is Boone for whitetails? I don't remember. Is it 270,
or
60?
170s?
Or yeah, 170? Yeah, so I've got one that's right on the verge. One's a 169 is probably my biggest one, I think. So that I'd probably be barely cutting it close.
Yeah, that's compare that to that elk, so that's pretty good elk.
Yeah, yeah.
It's no
Yeah,
400 incher or 370 incher.
it's not like the ones up on the wall at Shields or nothing, but it's a hell of a trophy to me, I think.
Did you
I'll
ever
have to send you a picture of it sometime. It's up on the wall upstairs. It makes it look even bigger because we got a split level house and it's up at the top of the stairs when you walk into the house looking down at you. So it makes it look like a 400-inch bull. So anybody that walks in thinks it's a monster. They're like, holy crap, where'd you get that big giant thing? And they're like, it's not really as big as it looks, but it
just
looks
brush
pretty
it
cool.
off? Do they have detachable antlers on them?
Some of them do, mine doesn't. I've heard there's a local guy that shot a really big bull out west somewhere, and he had to get detachable antlers just to get it into his house, just to get it through a doorway, I think, but I didn't have that problem.
I don't have that problem either. I've never even seen an elk in person.
Yeah, this one that I shot, that was the first bull that I'd ever seen in my life, and ended up
Really?
killing it. Yeah,
Archery,
yeah,
huh?
yeah, yeah, shot it at probably 10 or 12 yards.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, cow called it in. That was pretty sweet. I wish I woulda had a GoPro or something. I don't even think GoPros were a thing back then, but, yeah, and then the next year, the following year, me and my dad went back to that same spot, and my dad shot a bull, like, 50 yards away from that exact same spot.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it was just like, the perfect little saddle out there that we both cow called him into.
How come you don't keep going back?
So since then oh, since how come he don't keep going back?
Or how come you don't keep going back to that same spot if you killed 2 years in a
Oh,
row?
we had after that, actually, the following year after my dad killed that bull, we went back to that spot, and it seemed like it was really petering out, like, we didn't see a lot, didn't hear a lot, and I don't think anybody even got shot at anything that year, and then the following year, me and a buddy from college went back to that same spot, and we had even worse luck, like, we didn't see anything, we couldn't even get within a quarter mile of anything. I think we only saw a couple elk the whole time we were there that time, and then eventually we just finally said, "This maybe this ain't as good a spot as it once was," and we decided to try different spots, and that guy, that buddy of mine, he had a buddy that lived out there, and "I'm gonna go out to this other spot, why don't you guys tag along with me, and we'll give this other spot a try," and we just eventually started bouncing around and trying different spots. And since then, I have heard that first place that we went to has pretty much completely fell off. Like guys have gone there and for a week or two at a time and haven't heard or seen an elk the entire time. And nobody that they ran into had heard or seen an elk the entire time they were out there. I don't know. It's seems like it just fluctuates the different units out there. Like they'll get good for a few years, and then they fill up with guys and get really busy with guys running in there, and then they'll peter out, and the guys will move off some other where, and then a few years later, it might be really good again because everybody thinks that spot sucks and nobody goes in there. So it's a crapshoot.
When you're going to these random places to elk hunt, are you seeing a lot of bulls and maybe just not getting close to them?
Colorado is tough. Most of the time in Colorado, anyways, and this is all over the counter spots that shooting from the hip and guessing where the place to be is gonna be. Usually, if we see or get a chance even get a chance at a bull, like 1 chance in a week, we're doing good, but there's been times that we have seen 3 or 4 different bulls in a week's time out there, and then there's been times that we've seen one group of elk a half a mile away, and that's all we saw for the week. But, yeah, me and a buddy went to Montana a few years ago, and that was a permit unit where we had to put in and apply for a few years to get in there. There was definitely a lot more elk there, but it still didn't make it any easier.
Really?
I mean, we were seeing elk every day, but we were hunting the edge of private and public, trying to catch them as they crossed into a private hayfield every evening and come back in the mornings. And it was still just as tough just because there was a lot more elk there. It didn't make it much easier.
So they're always one step ahead of you crossing over from public to private?
Yeah, yeah. And it seems like, I don't know, seems like a lot of guys play that game too, just because the private out there is all the lower ground. It's the greener ground where they all come out there at night into the hay fields and crop fields and stuff at night, or the pastures and stuff like cattle pastures and horse pastures down low and green grass and stuff. But they don't want to stand out there in the middle of the day because they'll get seen. So they'll wait till right before dark and come down out of the high stuff and go out into the pastures and stuff at night. And then before the sun comes up in the morning, they'll zip back across the fence and head up high for the afternoon and bed down somewhere. So,
You think they're crossing close to where you were just after dark, or
yeah. So the place that we hunted in Montana, it was a big long ridge line, probably 3/4 of a mile long, and it was a hayfield on one side of it and just super thick timber on the other side, and we were basically just setting up in saddles on this ridge line, trying to guess with where they were gonna come across in the evening, and it seemed every time they were one step in front of us, like, we'd be sitting in a saddle waiting for them to come through, and then we'd look behind us, and there was half a dozen elk out in the hayfield already behind us that had crossed somewhere else, and it's just tough, frustrating. Yeah, and I don't know. It they're like turkeys. Guys hate when you compare it to turkey hunting sometimes, but they're a lot like turkeys. If they'd been called to by a dozen other guys already that year, they're just gonna shut up and go silent and do what they do. They're just not gonna be bugling, and when they're not bugling, it's pretty tough to find them in 100,000 acres of ground out there. But when they are bugling, then it's great because then you can hear them half a mile away and make a play on them, and you can sneak up and be 100, 200 yards from them before you even have to call to them or anything. So
that'd
it's
be a lot of
way
fun.
easier. Yeah, it's way easier when they're bugling. It's pretty sweet too when, you like we used to do, we pack in camp and pack in your tent and camp and everything and be laying in your tent at night at midnight or something, and you can hear them bugling off in the distance behind you. It gets you pretty jacked up to get up early and go out the next morning.
How do you go to sleep?
Well, it's not hard to find sleep out there when you've been hiking around in the mountains all day and you're dead tired. It's pretty easy to fall asleep then.
You ever have any wild adventures? And wild adventure sounds kind of little Brokeback Mountain. Wild encounters while you're sleeping in the tent? Anything?
Let me think. Not last year, the year before. This isn't really a wild adventure, but it's a funny story. So we were camped. It was me and two other buddies, and we were camped pretty low in like a valley, and it had a trail going down the middle of this valley. And so there was three of us, and we each had our own tents, and we were probably, I don't know. Yeah, so I've got a two-man teepee, and then the other guys had like standard tent basically. But yeah, so we were all probably, I don't know, 10 feet apart or wherever, spaced in between us. And in the morning, one of the other guys, they said, "Did you hear? Did you hear all the coyotes howling last night?" Yeah, there was coyotes howling. I don't know. They sounded like they were like 20 feet from the tent. They were so close. How could you not hear them? And I sleep like a rock. But they're like, "Oh my God, how did you possibly sleep through that?" I stayed up for 2 hours last night listening to these coyotes. It was like a whole entire pack of coyotes howling. Sounded like they were right outside the tent. And I was like,
How do you
clueless. Just
sleep? Yeah, I wouldn't
Yeah,
be able to fall asleep.
apparently I must have been sleeping already by the time they started, but
You sure they weren't
yeah.
wolves?
I don't think so. They said that they were them guys coyote hunt too, so they were pretty sure that they were coyotes, but
Yeah,
yeah, we've
coyotes, the more people that thermal hunt coyotes, they're getting quieter and quieter.
yeah, definitely. Yep. Yeah, nobody else around here had a thermal scope or nothing, and everybody just nobody even knew what the heck you were even talking about when you said you go out at night and shoot coyotes in the dark. I don't know, 75% of the time you could call a coyote out of it pretty quick. And now it's way harder. You gotta be switching calls all the time and trying to play what everybody else isn't playing and have the newest updated calls that they come out with just to so you're not using the same thing as everybody else. And it's tough. It's kind of discouraging. Takes
I
a
sold mine for that reason.
did ya? Yeah, it takes a little bit of the fun out of it just because everybody's doing it now.
Most of the sit you sit on, if you shut up your calls, you'll hear somebody else calling. At least half the time you go out, other vehicles.
Really? I've only seen one other vehicle when I was out before, and it was a funny deal. So I've got an uncle of mine has a big hayfield. He's a big dairy farmer, and he's got a big hayfield outside his or close to his dairy farm that I hunt probably more often than I should for coyote hunting because it's close to my house and it's easy to get to, and I can jump over there and call it. And if it doesn't work, I'll go home and call it a night. I think it was a couple years ago. I went out there and I've got a helmet with a monocular on it for scan. And I pulled into the driveway, grabbed my stuff out of the truck, and started walking across the field. And all of a sudden, I looked over and I could see there was other guys out in the field already. And I thought for sure that there's probably not a very good chance that they have permission and they must have seen me right away too. And as soon as they saw me, we were probably 500 yards apart in this field, and they had pulled in a different driveway and they were out there already. And after they seen me, they probably figured this guy probably has permission if we don't have permission. And they scooted to the road pretty quick and jumped in their truck and took off the other direction, which I don't know. It was funny. And then I ended up calling one in and shooting one there too. So I thought that was funny.
Yeah, I'm sure that happens a lot at night if people are going out at midnight and 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, yeah,
I think the
yeah,
people that wanna have success and I sold my thermals, but ditching the e-collars.
yeah. And when I first started, before I had a thermal, me and a couple buddies, we were going at night just on a full moon, sitting in fence lines with a full moon on snow covered ground. And we shot a bunch of them like that. But man, that was tough. That was a lot of freezing at night, waiting for something to come out and looking into a lot of shadows, thinking you see something. We were using mouth calls then, and we were using mouth calls, but there was a couple times that we had owls swoop down at us. They would come right past your head. You couldn't see them coming or anything. All of a sudden, you just hear a whoosh, and they go right past your head. Oh my god, it terrified me. I was like, if they clamp onto your head and take your eye out or something, I was like, screw this. I'm gonna get a nice collar and put it out there 50 yards or something. I had an owl one time come down and I had my call sitting on on top of a snowbank and an owl came down and plowed into my call. I think I had one of them like a fur tail
Really?
going on the call, and he came flying out of the sky like a frickin' attack helicopter or something, and just he hit my call and plowed it underneath the snow, and then he must have figured out that it wasn't real, and he took off flying, but I had to walk out there and pull my call out of the snow because he had pounded it down into the snow, and you could barely even hear it anymore.
Really?
Yeah. And then I think a couple years ago, a buddy of mine that I hunt with, he had one of them motion fur tails going on the back of his, and an owl came and it stole his decoy off the back of his call and took off with it.
Really?
Yeah. And we thought for sure the owl took off flying and we could see which way he went. And we thought if we just walked in that direction, like eventually he would just drop it after he figured out that it wasn't a squirrel or rabbit or something. And we walked like a few hundred yards across this field, and we could never find the thing.
Was it
But
pitch black?
yeah, it was dark out, but we had flashlights and stuff, and we're like, "We're gonna go look for his decoy, see if that owl dropped it," and I don't know if he ever dropped it. We never found it.
I'd like to try calling in raccoons in the middle of the day with an e-collar.
I've tried calling raccoons after coyote hunting, like, I go out and try calling coyotes and can't call any coyotes, but then you're looking into a fence line or something, and you're like, "Oh, there's half a dozen coons sitting up in that tree," and then turn on some coon fights or something. They're probably not too excited to come running out after you've been playing.
I think they're really aggressive towards e-collars. If you get them to come in, they'll tackle the call.
Really? I've seen some of those the hunting public guys do that.
Really.
They've got a pretty sweet video. Them and I don't remember. I've seen a
The
few guys
the Last
videos
Stand.
of it. Yeah, maybe.
That's the guy that makes the lucky duck calls.
Oh, gotcha. That's what kinda call I've got.
Which one?
It's not the fanciest one. It's the middle of the road one
Does it
of
have a tripod?
yeah, Revolt, maybe?
Yeah. I have the Super Revolt.
Okay, gotcha.
I might sell it. If I were to buy another one, it'd be the Roughneck. I don't think you need the tripod, man.
I use a tripod sometimes just to get it off the ground a little bit, just because if you're putting it in a hayfield or something and you put it down in the hay, it makes it a lot quieter and muffles the sound a lot.
But in
It
terms of
almost
making them spin,
oh, no, I've never really used the spinning thing. I basically just used it for getting a little bit of height on it, getting it off the ground.
they're freaking huge. It's like 18 inches.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe mine is the super revolt because I remember now the roughneck is the super fancy one.
The Super Revolt's like 800 bucks.
Oh, okay, no, mine was like 350 or something like that.
Probably the Super Revolt, or
Gotcha.
probably just the Revolt.
Just a regular revolt, yeah. Because I
But
think the roughneck was the fanciest one when I bought that one.
yeah, it's the nicest one you can buy that doesn't have the tripod.
Gotcha,
It's
gotcha.
way smaller than mine.
Oh, really? Yeah,
They
mine's
got the
big.
motor built in for spinning, that probably takes up a lot of space.
Yeah, I don't know if I've maybe once or twice when I first got it that I used the rotation deal of it, but then I was like, I don't know.
I've never
It didn't seem necessary because like they never come from the direction that you think that they're gonna come from anyways.
The only thing I like about the Super Revolt is you can play 2 different sounds at once.
Oh, yeah, I don't think mine can.
It's got 2 different independent speakers.
Different speakers, yeah. What's the Fox Pros? Them were big for having the dual tones on them where you could play 2 sounds at once, I
Yo,
think.
I got just about every Lucky Duck sound you could ever want.
Oh, really? I got a couple what the heck? I forget what sound or who made them.
Coyote
Tony
Coon Fight,
Tebby?
man.
Was it?
You got Coyote Coon Fight?
No, I don't think so. I've got
That
I for
Coyote Coon Fight is by far the best call.
really?
If you get
I
them on the edge where they can't fully commit to coming in, that will bring them in
yeah,
every time.
really?
Coyote Coon Fight.
I'll have to check it out. I remember the first time I downloaded sounds to it, and I thought I was, like, the coolest guy in the world. I was a pretty serious coyote hunter when I had a 12 pack of new sounds that I didn't think anybody else had.
Yeah,
Then
right.
come to find out, like, I was 5 years behind the game. But
Coon Fight is where it's at.
I'll have to give it a try.
Before we wrap this up, we need to hear some embarrassing stories. Any of the stuff.
Oh, geez. I probably got a couple of them that I can think of. So, one of them, when I was real little, I think it was even before I could even hunt, my dad would drop me off the tree. So he put me up in a tree stand and then he walked to the other side of the woods. And he'd always tell me before he left, he's on the way out to the woods. He's like, pee when we leave the truck. Once you leave the truck, you can't pee. And then we'd get out to the stand and he'd say, "Now, just remember, you can't get down. You got to stay up there. Don't get down till I come back to get you." And so I was like, okay, sounds good. Of course, like an hour or 2 later, as a little kid, probably 5, 6 something years old, I had to pee, and I was like, "Oh my god, he told me I can't get down." And I sat there, tried and tried not to pee, and eventually I just pissed my pants.
Really?
Yeah, and I as a little kid, I wasn't even smart enough to just be like, "Why don't I just pee out of the tree onto the ground. And I was like, I don't know why. I decided, no, it's the way to do it is just pee your pants.
I can't believe he was putting you in your own tree stand at that age and walking across the timber.
Yeah, it was probably, I don't know. I don't think I'd put my son in a tree stand by himself at that age.
No harness?
No, I had a harness, yeah.
Oh, did you?
He would, yeah, a lot of the time I would climb up and then he'd follow along behind me and make sure I was harnessed in, and then he'd climb down and
Oh,
head
okay.
off to his tree, and maybe, I don't know, maybe he was closer than I thought, but it seemed like it seemed to me that he was, like, forever away, but he could have been only 100, 200 yards away. He could have been watching me the whole time, and I didn't even know it as a little
Struggling,
kid.
trying to make a decision. Do I get down?
Yeah, and then I remember he came up to the tree when he came back to get me, and I usually he would climb up the tree and help me get unharnessed or unhook me and help me climb down, and I remember when he got there, I told him because I peed, and I remember it went right down the tree too, and I told him, "Don't climb up here. You don't wanna climb up here. I'll get down myself," and I had to explain to him what happened. I said, "I peed my pants," and he's like, "Why would you do that?" I said, "You told me that I couldn't get out of the tree." I said, "I didn't mean not to get out of the tree if you had to pee. I just meant don't get out of the tree and go wandering around the woods by yourself, so I gotta look for you." So, I guess that was probably one of them, and then another one was in Colorado where my dad shot a bull and I was cameraman because I had shot a bull the year before, and so he was the first guy to get a shot that year, so I was the cameraman, so we had digital camera, and we had heard a bull. For some reason, the camera got passed around back and forth between us, and because we had thought that there was a bull behind us or whatever, and so if I was gonna shoot and then he was gonna shoot, and we'd pass the camera back and forth, and then I got the camera given to me, so then we could see the bull coming down the hill towards us, and it came down, like, as soon as I saw it, I hit the red button to turn the camera on, and the bull came down and walked right in front of him, called it into, like, 10, 15 yards, and got the whole thing on video, and I'm looking around the tree. I got this whole sweet video, and it runs 100 yards down the hill and crashes down the hill, and he looks at me and he's like, "Oh my god, that's awesome. You got that whole thing on video, didn't you?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, it's perfect. I got everything." And then it crashed into some brush, and we thought that it went down, but we didn't wanna go pushing in there right away looking for it. He's, "Let's give it a while." He wasn't exactly sure where he hit it. He thought it was a good shot, but he's like, "Let's look at the video. Maybe you can see in the video where he hit it. Let me just replay it here." And I bring it up, and I'm looking for it, like, searching through the different videos on there, and I had to tell him, like, I was heartbroken. I was like, "I think the camera must have been you must have hit the red button before you handed it to me, and then you handed the camera to me, and I hit the red button, and I stopped the recording, so I didn't get any of it."
Happens to everybody that films, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah. I'm sure every serious hunter, filmer out there has probably got a ridiculously stupid story like that where they screwed something up.
Yeah,
So,
at least you got the elk.
yeah, yeah, it crashed in the brush and we found it like 100 yards away, but it'd have
Hopefully,
been
it
a lot
wasn't too
cooler to
mad
have a
at you.
video of. I could tell he was a little bit disappointed after I talked it up. I was like, "Yeah, it's a great video. It's like right over your shoulder and got the whole thing in there, and I got him coming in and crashing down the hill." And I just had nothing to show for it.
Bummer, man.
Yeah, it would have been a sweet video, but yeah.
A Alright, man. I appreciate you joining. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, sure, me too. Had a good time. Alright.
Later, buddy.
Alright, talk to you later, bud.
Thanks again for joining us on another episode of A Hunter's Legacy. Remember, hunting isn't just about the harvest, it's about the journey and the legacy we all leave behind. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast with all the other hunters in your life.